More questions?
As a state representative, how much are you paying attention to what other states are doing, or are you more centered around Michigan?
One of the things in Lansing that we always hear is, 34 states have passed this policy, which is not good policy. So we have to do it here in Michigan because everyone else did it. I can't stand that.
Yeah.
So we have to pass bad policy like 26 other states did. Something that Republicans shouldn't be doing, but we're going to do it because everyone else did it. We hear a lot of that in Lansing. Not something I agree with. One of them is bail reform. You guys have ever heard of bail reform? A lot of these states are basically trying to eliminate cash bail and bondsmen, and it's been a tragic failure. But we have Republicans in Michigan. Is actually the person who's pushing the whole leftist thing about getting rid of cash bail and doing bail reform. He's from Hillsdale, Michigan. He's your state representative in Hillsdale, and he's pushing this leftist agenda. He's a Republican.
That's fake.
Yeah, it's fake.
Fake.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's sad.
Jacob
Yeah, that's nice. So do you still, are you still engaged with that business that you had kind of been involved in prior
The bail
to?
bond business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a bondsman for 32 years.
Okay.
We have a company called A1 Bail Bonds. We post bonds and get people out of jail. And if they don't show up, we go out and get them and bring them back. That's the beauty of the private sector bail providers in this nation. We are typically the providers of our Eighth Amendment right to bail. A lot of people, when they're arrested, some people have money, other people don't have money. They usually call a bondsman, and we're actually providing them with that service.
So do you still, are you still engaged with that business that you had kind of been involved in prior?
Bail bond business?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been a bondsman for 32 years.
Okay.
We have a company called A1 Bail Bonds. We post bonds and get people out of jail. And if they don't show up, we go out and get them and bring them back. And that's the beauty of the private sector bail providers in this nation. We are typically the providers of our Eighth Amendment right to bail. A lot of people, when they're arrested, some people have money, other people don't have money. They usually call a bondsman, and we're actually providing them with that service. We're entirely user-funded. We consume no tax dollars. But our opponents of bail, like Andrew Fink, for example, Representative Fink, they basically want to put bail bondsmen out of business and let the government take over the whole bail process, which is very dangerous. If you have the government making decisions on who gets out of jail and who doesn't, imagine how they can use that against conservatives, for example. We know that they've done it before, right? And they weaponize a lot of these departments too.
You were talking about Beach and Whitmer, and then what we found out later about Chatfield and then why he was compromised.
Yeah. So about a year and a half now, when we were in the midst of our lockdown, I was actually we went up to our cabin, took our whole family up to our cabin, and Ben was living at my house, and we had about 10 representatives in the House that agreed to hold impeachment hearings for Gretchen Whitmer, just like they did with Trump, right? We know we would never have the votes in the House or the Senate to actually impeach her, but did they ever have the votes in the Senate or the House to impeach Trump? No. Did they hold hearings? Yeah, right? They held hearings, okay? We should have done the same thing here in Michigan. We should have exposed Gretchen Whitmer. We should have brought people who had their grandparents die in these nursing homes. We should have brought them all in and held hearings for a week or two, or maybe only 3 or 4 hearings, whatever. The media would have covered it, to keep blood in the water, to make it harder for her to get reelected. We didn't do that. So we had a bunch of us that agreed to do this. I was heading the whole thing to impeach Gretchen Whitmer. Guess who stopped me?
Was it Shirky?
Huh?
Was it Shirky?
No, Lee Chatfield, Speaker of the House, stopped me dead in my tracks. We found out about a month ago that Lee Chatfield, the Democrats probably had all this dirt on Lee Chatfield, probably blackmailing and bribing him perhaps, because he was sleeping with his brother's wife since she was 15 years old, along with a lot of other really bad things.
And he was doing it while he was Speaker.
While he was Speaker. So the Speaker of our House, who we elect as Speaker of the House is equally important as to who we elect as Governor. Because the Speaker of the House in Michigan has a tremendous amount of power. They determine everything we vote on, all the policy we pick up, everything we vote on the House floor goes to the Speaker's office, the budget, everything. So So we tried to impeach for, I know why he stopped us, because they've had dirt on him probably since probably maybe before he was elected, who knows? But we've had a compromised speaker for that first 2-year term. And our current speaker right now, Jason Wentworth, isn't much better. He's not holding press conferences, he's not a fighter, he's not getting out in public. The speaker has to be capable of doing press conferences and communicating with the public with the right messaging to show a Republican base that we're out there for him. Because right now, they're not seeing it, they're not feeling it. It's a big error.
And we know at least one other rep that's being currently blackmailed by the Democrats.
Yes. You know, someone else is being blackmailed by the Democrats.
You think they're like strategically trying to elevate those candidates to these positions so that they can keep kind of like their
100%.
basically just like
Okay. For example, the guy that I'm running, one of the people that I'm running to get speak, there's 2 people that are in the race, 3 people in the race for speaker, myself and 2 others. One of them is a really, really bad person. They're both bad people. But Lansing wants those people to become speaker because they can control them and they can prevent them from doing things that will help Michigan. Because people in Lansing, the lobby for, think of it as they only make money when we're growing government. They make a commission off how much we increase taxes, for example. That's how you have to kind of have to look at it. I'm not saying they're all bad, but for the most part, the lobbyists want us to spend more money and grow government and grow bureaucracy. And they're very good at what they do.
So is this other one blackmailed in a similar way?
Yeah.
Well, we know the media is sitting on the stories.
Yeah, the media doesn't want to expose it because they want this person to be in charge.
And then use it against them.
Right. It's really bad.
So what keeps us from exposing you now as a means of helping you get into that position instead? Is it just like out of a matter of respect, or is it, you know, what? I'm just curious. Not to fight dirty, it's just I'm like, if the media knows about it and they're specifically are sitting on the story, not releasing it so that they can get him in there so they have the position on a leash. I mean, it's an interesting dilemma, but it's like, I mean, eliminating him from the race in some capacity would almost be a benefit insofar as he's not going to now be this controlled person in that position.
I don't know what to tell you. I mean, being recorded right now too, so
No, fair, yeah, I guess that's a bit of a, yeah, never mind, I didn't ask the question.
I can turn the camera off.
It's tough to get these things out than one would think. You
Yeah.
know, for national outlets, it's 2 small stakes, and all the local people are in on the game.
Yeah, it's not like I want the guy to be exposed per se, it's
No, I
just
know.
for the sake of the rule, you know, it's like it's dangerous to have him in there.
Hypothetically, for the novel that you're writing,
Yeah.
yeah, the
Yeah.
national people are disinterested in the local people. Yeah.
Trump wants me to be speaker for a reason. It's we're a lot alike. And we get a lot right. He knows that I'm a lot like him. You know.
A fundraising class here, some kind of like, you know,
What's that?
interdisciplinary. I said should set up like a fundraising class here, some kind of interdisciplinary.
We're doing that every week in my cabin. We're fundraising. All these candidates are fundraising right now. We go up to my cabin, 3 to 4 of us, and we fundraise all day for 2 days. Raise between $8,000 to $10,000 typically for a candidate. But no one else is doing that. A lot of these people have money from other different organizations that are going to come in and provide them air cover, you know, say nice things about the nonprofits and the tax. We're not going to have that. We're going to have some of it, not all of it. Andrew Fink, the representative here, Consumers Energy spent about $400,000 to get him elected. And he used to work for Mike Shirkey. He comes out of Shirkey's. You know, politics is very, politics is all tribal. You know, where you get started and where you come out of.